Dude, fucking Illinois last night, though. I swear, I know we talked about it, and I said we agreed that I agreed 100%. Like, I can never take Purdue in that spot. But, you led the whole fucking game. Gave it away in the last few minutes. I will say Purdue caught every fucking break. Did you watch any of it?
Not a single second.
I'm surprised. That was a really good game.
Well, I was going to watch some of it, and then I have a Peacock subscription.
I forgot it was on Peacock.
I wasn't logged in, and then it was like, oh, the password's wrong. I was like, fuck this. I'm not dealing with it. Fuck NBC and fuck Peacock. It's so stupid.
Too much work.
$6.99 and that's a classic. They're like, oh, I can't wait to put this game on. To see people will actually, keep their subscription an extra month from that NFL. What playoff game was it? It was like Bills Dolphins.
Yeah, I forget.
Bills Dolphins.
Yeah, it might have been that one. No, not Bills didn't play the Dolphins.
Sorry.
It was. Was it Chiefs Dolphins the first round?
Chiefs Dolphins.
Might have been Chiefs Dolphins. Yeah, ridiculous. Dude, did you? I don't know if you saw the highlight, but late in the game, like Coleman Hawkins fucking hates Purdue. Like, Coleman Hawkins, the most like awkward looking motherfucker in college basketball, who I told you is this guy the most annoying looking person you've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he hates Purdue, like hates them, and he hates Zach Edey, and he's basically come out and said that he hates Zach Edey. And so there was like a big play late in the game, and Coleman Hawkins tried to dunk on Edey, and Edey fouled the fuck out of him, and they didn't call it. And Edey, it looked like, okay, it was either a block or a hack. You just couldn't tell. And on the replay, you could see like he doesn't touch the ball, and after he blocked him, he just stares him down and doesn't run back on defense. People were clowning him on Twitter like, how are you going to fucking foul the shit out of somebody, not get called for it, and stare them down?
It's only a foul to call it, Dylan.
Man, right. I can't. That really made Zach Edey look like an absolute clown.
I'm not a big fan, but
he's
what can you do? That's where college basketball is right now.
How about you?
He's gonna win Player of the Year again.
Of course he is, because he's fucking 7'9". He's an ogre, giant fucking ogre. Guy bothers the fuck out of me.
Who else is in the Player of the Year conversation? We were talking about this the other day.
There really isn't anybody else.
It's just Edey
Dalton Connect.
Yeah, man, I don't know.
They're not going to give it to Connect.
No,
He's a first-team All-American.
I like his year better. I mean, I get it.
Of course I do, too. I'm just saying they're not going to give it to him.
Yeah.
I mean, even last night.
I mean, I guess when you look at the stats, you have to give it to Edey. I don't know, but it's just, I don't know. He's so much bigger than everybody else. He just grabs rebounds. The one thing I will give him credit on, he's become a pretty good free throw shooter.
Yeah, he's much better than he was.
I give him credit on that for at least improving that, because there's those big guys that, play years and shoot 47% for their life. So the fact that I think he's in the mid-70s now. I think he's not.
No,
bad.
Yeah, he might even be close to 80. I know he had a stretch where he made like 21 in a row in Big Ten play. But the funny thing is, the 3 tournaments he's played in, they lost to North Texas, St. Peter's, and Fairleigh Dickinson. So it's so funny watching Purdue fans celebrate their back-to-back Big Ten titles last night. Like, let's get past the second round of the NCAA tournament. How about we celebrate that one? Let's get to a Sweet 16. I think they got to the Sweet 16 against St. Peter's and got beat by fucking St. Peter's.
One of my buddies said it's going to be the repeat of Virginia losing in the first round, and they're going to win the championship this year.
I mean, could it happen? Yes. I will give it to their guards, even though every break went their way. Like, there was a turnover that fell into a wide-open shooter's hands. There was a block off the backboard that got batted out to a shooter, and there was another one where Zach Edey got an offensive rebound, had a wide-open dunk, and kicked it out, and they made all 3 threes. Like, there was just – their guards made some big-time shots. I'll give them that, but they were very fortunate to get those shots. But I don't know. It wouldn't shock me. But if you look at that Virginia run, dude, they were literally – I looked at this the other day because I was curious. In their last 3 games, they were 7% or worse at some point in the game to win. They were a 7% probability to win the game against Purdue. They were down by 3, shooting 2 free throws with 5 seconds to go. They were like 2% to win that game. Auburn, they were down by 2 with 1.7 or 2.7 inbounding. And in Texas Tech, they were down 3 on the final possession and tied it with a 3. So it was a lucky run. It was like Jamie Gold at the World Series of Poker getting the nuts on 92 hands. So yeah, they could.
Very lucky.
I guess we could start with college basketball because this is March Madness, and we got to start talking about Selection Sunday. Is a week from this Sunday. All the conference tournaments are coming up. We have a few already that are getting going here. We'll look at let's look at the bubble, and we'll look at. So here I'm gonna quickly list off the teams that I have that I think are already in.
Okay.
So we've got. Tell me if you disagree with any of these. So we got in the Big 12, and this is teams who I think no matter what happens, they're in at this point, right? Could that change maybe for one or two teams? Maybe, but probably these teams are in regardless of what happens. Big 12, we've got 9 teams. Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU, TCU, OU, and Texas. SEC, we've got 6 teams. Tennessee, South Carolina, Auburn, Alabama, Kentucky, and Florida. Big 10 has 5 teams. Purdue, Illinois, Northwestern, Nebraska, Wisconsin. Mountain West has 5 teams. Utah State, Nevada, Boise State, San Diego State, Colorado State. Big East, UConn, Marquette, Creighton. ACC, UNC, Duke, and Clemson. Pac-12, Arizona, Washington State. West Coast Conference, St. Mary's and Gonzaga. And the A-10 has Dayton. So those are the at-large bids. That's a total of 36 teams. There are 36 at-large bids. Now, that said, each of these conferences that one of these teams on the list wins their conference tournament opens up an additional at-large because that would be an automatic qualifier with the tournament. So more than likely you would think, right, like Big 12, SEC, Big 10, Big East, one of those teams is probably going to win the tournament. You would think more than likely in the ACC and the Pac-12 probably as well. Probably the West Coast Conference, it's going to be St. Mary's or Gonzaga.
I think you could safely say at least 5, probably 6.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, it could
be even more than that. It could be all of them. Yeah.
I think the only one that's like a legitimate concern, and there's always teams that make like a crazy run, so there's probably going to be one of those teams. But I think the only team or the only conference where I don't think it's like a favorite, like there's a favorite for one of those teams to come out, is the Atlantic 10 because Dayton's actually 3rd in that conference.
Yeah.
Everybody who's on the bubble is going to be pulling for Dayton in the A-10 tournament because if Loyola Chicago or Richmond wins that tournament, then that takes away an at-large bid from somebody.
Yep.
So this is going to be real interesting. The teams on the bubble that I have right now, and I think this is subject to change, but because there's a few more that we can talk about, but Wake Forest, Providence, Seton Hall, Indiana State, UNLV is moving up the list. I don't think they're really on the bubble yet, but they had another huge win last night. They're one game out of first place in the Mountain West. They just have some really bad losses on their schedule early in the year. Virginia, both of us can't stand. But
I think they're going to end up getting – it depends what they do the last few games, and I don't know who's on their schedule, but the way they're playing right now, I think they're going to end up getting left out. Like, if they get bounced in the ACC tournament in the first round – I don't think they're getting in.
I do agree with you on that. My only thing with Virginia is, and they still have, I think they have one game left, and it's like Georgia Tech, who did just upset Wake Forest last night, which we have to talk about. But yeah, they're at home against Georgia Tech. So they're probably going to win that. If you look at it, like, I agree with you, but look at them metrically. They're going to finish 22-9 if they win that game. They'll finish 13-7 in 3rd place in the ACC. It's just net ranking. Ken Palm doesn't like them, but it's hard to look at a team that finishes 3rd in the ACC and be like, well, you didn't get in when Clemson is got the same record and a worse conference record. They're going to be a 5 seed and Virginia doesn't get in. Like, I don't think they
fuck did they have Clemson as a 5
yeah, it's ridiculous. I think they might have dropped down after
the
that.
ACC is terrible.
ACC is terrible. Pittsburgh's on the bubble as well. St. John's, which I don't agree with, is on the bubble. Villanova, Utah, Colorado. Mississippi State is the one team, like, most people have them in, but they are kind of interesting because they lost back-to-back games. They play at A&M tonight. Huge game because both those teams are on the bubble, even though I think A&M is probably out. Huge game at A&M. And then their last game, I believe, is against Tennessee or Kentucky. It's against one of the best teams in the conference. So they could easily finish 0-4. Now all of a sudden, like, you go from a lock in the tournament going into that Kentucky game to losing your last 4. You just, I don't know. They've been in that first 4 playing game. Like, it feels like every year they're in that damn playing game.
Oh yeah, every year it seems like. The weird one to me too on the list is Villanova, right? I think I was looking at Lenardi's bracketology, and he has them like first 4 buys, not even last 4 in, and They have 11 losses, don't
Yeah,
they? And some of them are not.
12 losses. They're 17 and 12.
One of them was to Pennsylvania University. I know that. I know it was early in the year.
Lost to Drexel.
They lost to Drexel. Listen, I get it was early in the year. Still bad losses. And if you look at them right now compared to like Virginia, I think if Villanova played Virginia, they'd beat the shit out of them right now.
Yeah.
Right now. But the early season losses were horrible. I don't know. I know they say they take the whole resume and they look at everything. It obviously is hard to get caught up into, how you're playing now. But I mean, if the committee looked at like, say, them or Virginia for a spot, I mean, I think they would give it to Villanova, which is crazy because if you look, I don't know. I guess you're right. Metric wise, they're going to put Virginia in there because they're in because they're third in the ACC. It's a Power 5 in the Big East. I get it, but it's just if you're giving these guys somewhat of an eye test right now. I mean,
right.
Villanova. I don't know what Vegas would make the line, but I could almost guarantee they'd be favorites against Virginia right now.
Villanova is currently 24th in the KenPom. Virginia's 68th.
That's what I mean. I mean, so it's like that to me. It's like,
but here's my only, and I don't disagree. Here's the only two things I would say. One, they used to have an actual metric that was last 10 games. How are you performing in your last 10 games? They don't look at that criteria anymore, or they're not supposed to. It's supposed to be just the full body of work. That works against Villanova, I think.
Oh, for sure.
And then secondly, the reason I think Nova's going to probably get in is because for some reason, and I don't understand it, we saw this when remember we were looking at those blind resumes on the screen, and it had Xavier as the number 1 strength of schedule in the country. Remember that? So for some reason, they rate the Big East like ultra high. Like all these Big East teams are just playing, like according to the metrics, they play the toughest schedule in the country, which makes no sense to me. It should be all the Big 12 teams up top. Like how on earth is Villanova 23 with 12 losses? That doesn't make any sense to me. Lost to Drexel, lost to what was it, Pennsylvania? Like you said,
it is weird because, like I said, I like the Big East as a conference, but sure, it's not as good as the Big 12. So
no, it's not.
It's not even close. So obviously, it is pretty top heavy when you got UConn, Marquette, Creighton, who are all really good teams. But I mean, look at the Big 12: Houston, Iowa State, Baylor, Kansas, Texas Tech, BYU's good this year, TCU's solid. Oklahoma had a huge win last night. They would have lost that game to Cincinnati at home. They would have been in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
But that probably saved their season. So it'll be interesting.
Here's my problem with Nova, though. If you're going to look, it's just how these things are looked at. So Nova has a terrible start to the year, right? I know
terrible.
Terrible, right? Like
they were awful. I was like, what has happened to Villanova?
Well, what
you're
happened
already calling for the coach's head six games into the season.
Well, I mean, I still am. He's horrible. He's been terrible for 2 or 3 years there.
No idea.
He got rid of the greatest coach maybe in college basketball history. Maybe not number 1, but top 5 without a doubt.
I wonder if Jay Wright's ever going to come back and coach.
I don't think he wants to. I think he's just burnt out, and the NIL stuff probably makes it tougher at Nova, especially where normally you're trying to keep guys for 3-4 years. I think he probably got out at the right time. But my problem with it is that look at a team like South Florida. South Florida started the year 2-5. They lost to Central Michigan, Maine, Hofstra, and UMass, although UMass isn't that bad. Since then, they're 21-1.
Yeah, they're playing good basketball.
I'm sorry, 23-1. They have the nation's longest winning streak, I believe 17 straight games. They're first place in the American, 16-1. Nobody has them in the tournament. That's my issue with that. Like you're going to look at Nova recently and be like, well, they're playing really good. Well, but to them, it's just the KenPom has them high, the net has them high. That's why they're above there, and South Florida isn't. South Florida's like 70th in the net because of those losses early in the year and because they play in the American as opposed to the Big East.
Yeah, it must just be that they have the Big East just rated super, super high.
Yeah.
As far as strength of schedule.
One of the other ones.
I mean, Villanova, like you said, they started the year horrible, but they're playing really good now. Like, what are they? What are they in their last 10? I think they've only lost maybe one game to UConn. Is that it?
No, they've lost a couple. In their last 6, they're 5-1. But they had a stretch before that where they were terrible. Like, so I think in their last 10, I think they're 6-4 in their last 10. But they lost at St. John's, at Butler. So they went through a stretch where they lost 5 in a row. They lost at Marquette versus UConn, at St. John's, at Butler versus Marquette. Since then, they're 7-2 or 6-2 rather. They beat Providence, Seton Hall, Georgetown, Butler, Georgetown, Providence. See, that's my problem. I'm reading that through right there, and it's like, who they beat? Like, they beat what? Why is Seton Hall? Why is a win at home against Seton Hall or 2 wins against Georgetown? Providence isn't going to be in either. None of those teams are tournament teams.
When I saw Villanova safely in, I will say it caught me off guard. I was like, I think that they're playing pretty good basketball right now, but when you look at the full body of work, I definitely think they're like, a last 4 in consideration, not, straight into the tournament. But
I think also I'm looking at this. I see this is probably partially why as well. They have wins in the non-conference over Texas Tech, North Carolina, and Memphis. So those are huge for their KenPom rating.
Say
probably.
It again. Who is it?
They have wins over Texas Tech, North Carolina, and Memphis in the non-conference. So those are like three solid wins. 2 of those teams are for sure tournament teams. Memphis is on the bubble, probably outside looking in. And then they got a win against Creighton on the road, which is a quad one win. Really good quad one win. But I don't know. I'm not a big Villanova guy. The other couple interesting ones are Florida Atlantic.
Dude, they have in KenPom, South Florida's 85, bro.
I know.
Not 60-something, 85.
That's crazy.
They have Massachusetts at 84 in front of them, Syracuse at 83, Louisiana Tech at 82, St. Bonaventure's 81, Yale, North Texas, all in front of them.
That's crazy. It's ridiculous. Like, I don't understand that. I really don't. I would like to know exactly how it's calculated. I know it's
because I'll tell you this. We've watched them play a few times. They're definitely better than that now.
They're really good. They're a good team, dude.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get that they started terrible, but if you look at it right now, they're pretty damn solid.
Well, and guy
those 3 losses back to back is not good. Maine, Hofstra, UMass, but
again, the problem with that is
beat Florida State.
It's so early in the year. That's the first.
They beat Loyola Chicago, who's not a bad team.
No.
Lost at UAB, and then since that loss at UAB, it's been however many in a row that you've said. I get that it's not the toughest schedule, but you got to win over FAU in there. You got to win over SMU, a win over Memphis, a win over Wichita State. Yeah, it is weird to me that they have them that low in the net rankings. I would like to hear someone who's a absolute expert on all that stuff say, figure out why they're there.
Yeah,
I get those losses early, but I mean, you're telling me that. I mean, like, let's pick some teams that are in front of them here. Like, UC Irvine's at 73. Appalachian State's at 74.
State's pretty good, but I agree. They shouldn't be ahead. They shouldn't be ahead of them. Bad.
North Texas, 79.
That's crazy.
Yale, 80.
Crazy.
St. Bonnie's in front of them.
Yeah,
Louisiana Tech, Syracuse, and UMass. They're ranked 1 spot ahead of LSU.
That's just so absurd to me. I mean, and you look at it's really interesting too, because you have this deal where now with NIL and with transfers being such a prevalent part of college basketball, how much should we weigh the first 10 games? You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying you can't look at them, because it's not fair. Why play a tough non-conference schedule then at that point if you're not going to look at early in the year? But I do think you have to also somewhat take that into account and take into account how teams are trending a little bit, right? Like, if a team's won 17 straight games and they're 23-5, and they've beaten Florida Atlantic and they've beaten Charlotte, who's pretty good this year. Like, they've beaten some really solid teams. It's pretty ridiculous to me that they're just not even being considered for a bubble spot. Let me ask you
this. This is an interesting one.
Yeah, go.
So I think the most interesting conference all year is the Mountain West, because it's just, I mean, I don't know what the max they've gotten in before, maybe 3. I don't know.
I think 4.
Okay. So looking at KenPom, they have 5 teams in between 35 and 45 in the ranking, which is right on the brink.
Right.
Colorado State is 35.
Right.
Nevada's 38. Boise State's 41. Utah State's 45. I mean, and then you got San Diego State up at 20. I mean, they're obviously safely in.
Right.
I would say they keep saying Colorado State safely in, which to me, I think they should be. I know they had a good, non-conference. I get it. But it is funny to see them, like, I think 6th in the Mountain West or whatever they are. I mean, they're damn well near 500. I remember looking last night at the Mountain West. So, I mean, how many teams do you think get in there? All 5?
Yeah, I think all 5 are going to get in. I think New Mexico could still get in, honestly. I think right now.
Well, they have New Mexico.
I
have New Mexico and Ken Palm at 36. So they're
technically in the net rankings they're 25. So and they look at the net a lot. Not that I think Ken Palm's probably a little bit more accurate. Because I think the quad one thing, my problem with the quad one thing is they rate the teams based on where they're ranked at the time. And so like a team who's a quad one team might end up as a quad two team later in the year, but you get, credit for a quad one win because I get why they do it that way, but it's kind of a hard thing to measure. But yeah, like right now, I on that sheet I gave you, I have Utah State, Nevada, Boise State, San Diego State, and Colorado State all in. I think the top four, especially with Nevada winning at Boise last night, I don't think it's even a discussion for the top four. And Colorado State played such a tough schedule that I think they're going to get a pass for losing some of these games. They also don't have a bad loss. Like the reason New Mexico has become on the bubble is because they lost at home to Air Force. If they didn't lose at home to Air Force, I think they're actually probably in for sure right now. That's the loss that kills them.
That was a horrific loss.
Now, they could still for sure get in. Huge game on Saturday. They're going to play Utah State. And essentially, they pretty much have to have that win, I think. Like, they're playing at Utah State, the last game of the year. They play Fresno State tonight. If they lose tonight, they're out. But they should win. They're like 15 or 16-point favorites. But that last game of the year is going to be at Utah State, one of the toughest places to play in the country. Utah State's lost at home one time all season. And if they lose that game, it's going to be hard for me to see them getting in. They have too many bad losses on their schedule. They're going to be 21-9 if they lose that game, and they'll finish 10-8 in the conference. They didn't play a tough enough non-conference schedule to get in my opinion. You look at Colorado State, they beat Colorado, they beat Washington, they played St. Mary's to a 3-point game, who's gotten a lot better. So they played a much tougher non-conference. They beat Boston College. Oh, they beat Creighton early in the year as well.
That was one of the big ones. The other ones are kind of They're fine. Yeah,
they're okay.
Not bad wins.
I mean, Colorado's probably a tournament team, or they're on the bubble to be a tournament team, so they're relatively metrically high. And I think the Creighton win especially gets them in. I think that's partially why they're liked to get in no matter what, despite having kind of a rough stretch here as of late. I mean, they also, not that this is taken into account, they lost on a half-court shot to Nevada at home. Like, they've had a couple of really unfortunate beats. They should have beat St. Mary's at home early in the year. That was a bad loss before St. Mary's got going. Here's another question to you.
Man, Auburn, looking at this, I think Auburn, I don't know. They're 1-7 and it's quad wins just looking at this. But I think Alabama's going to get bounced in the first 2 rounds of the tournament.
No, I agree with you.
I know.
No, I'm down on them now.
You dropped them.
I bet on Florida last night.
I mean, it's if Sears doesn't score 30 points for them, I just don't know how they win.
They got another injury last night, and they're not deep. Dude, my boy.
I didn't realize Auburn was 1-7 in quad one, though.
Isn't that horrible? Isn't that real bad?
Yeah, and some of those were on neutral floors early in the year, I believe.
They lost. They lost to Baylor game 1.
That was game 1. Yeah,
that was game 1. Yeah, I know they lost at Tennessee recently.
I don't know. I think Auburn and Alabama are not. I'm obviously still super high on Tennessee.
Can you please attest now to the viewers why I have been saying, even though I haven't said on the podcast, I've said it on my other videos, why Ryan Griffin, number 3 for Alabama, is he not the worst basketball player you've ever fucking seen?
I will say this. I haven't seen them play much, but I watched that game with you, and you had money on Alabama, and you were losing your mind, rightfully so, because the guy was like dribbling the ball off his knee. I'm like, what is he doing? And they kept, and Nate Oates is a great coach, but he kept leaving him in there. And then
plays the whole fucking game.
Sears didn't shoot like half of what he normally did. And it was him and that other kid, is it Hispanic last name. I don't know.
Estrada.
Estrada. Just firing fucking threes. I mean, just right up the court, just firing them up.
Did you?
It was tough to watch. I mean, when they seized back control of that game, and Dalton Connect wasn't playing very well. Like you thought that they were gonna, come back and win. They were up 8, and then they just, if Sears isn't scoring, then who is? I know that the big white kid that can kind of shoot was in foul trouble.
Yeah,
he fouled out. I don't think he's great either.
But he's like a 10-point a game guy.
Yeah.
Last night, dude, this is concerning to me. I know it's on the road at Florida. Florida has been playing fantastic. That's a team who I might have like with like a sneaky deep run. Like I think they're a Sweet 16 team for sure. They're gonna end up being a 5 seed, I think, 5 or 6. And I think they're a team who could get to a Sweet 16, maybe even an Elite 8. But they, against Florida last night, Marcus Sears had 33 points. He was 10 of 20 from the field, 4 of 6 from 3, 9 of 9 from 3. They lost by 20, right? They lost by 20, and Florida put up 105 on them.
Alabama just plays zero fucking defense.
They're number 1 in offensive efficiency. They're 107 in defensive efficiency.
I remember watching them like, yeah, these guys can score a little bit, but they play no defense. And there's zero effort on the offense glass either. Like it's a missed horrible shot, it's like, or any kind of rebound.
At the end of that game against Tennessee
was just fucking murdering them on the glass.
And that was to win an SEC title, and they're sitting there watching the ball bounce out.
I don't know. I'm not sold on either of them. SEC-wise, I'm with you. I think Tennessee and Florida are the best 2 teams.
I want to go through a few of these teams real quick before we go to some blind resumes, and then we can move on from this. But I guess this is our biggest topic, so we'll spend a little bit more time on it.
Gonzaga's also playing good basketball right now.
Gonzaga's definitely in the tournament.
Oh, no, for sure. I'm just saying, like, they beat the hell out of St. Mary's.
Oh, no, Gonzaga looked real good.
Didn't they beat San Francisco the other night by like
40.
20 or 30? 40?
It was like 40.
Yeah.
It was tied at halftime, and they won by like 40.
Yeah, they're playing good right now.
Their offense has looked really, really good. Man, but let's talk about a few more teams, but what a bad loss for Wake Forest last night. That might be the nail in the coffin for them. I know they're probably still on the bubble here, and if they make a run in the NCAA tournament, they could get in, but they hadn't lost at home all year, and you lose at home as 14-point favorites to Georgia Tech. I mean, just a brutal, brutal loss. They were projected as the last team in going into last night. You have to imagine that's it for them, right?
Yeah, they're NIT bound probably, unless they. I don't know who do they play next.
It's not a quad one opportunity. They have to win some games in the tournament.
Yeah, they're gonna have to win the next game and then win at least a couple in the ACC tournament. Maybe they'll get lucky and get matched up against Virginia in like the 3rd round or whatever.
Who beat them by 2 in a 4? Actually, I take it back. They played Clemson at home. I don't think Clemson's in the top 30 in the net. I'm not sure. Are they? Let's see. I think they're
25.
Are they really in the net?
Yep. 24, 25.
Oh, yeah, 23, yeah.
So, yeah.
That is a quad one.
If they win that, win a couple games in the ACC, maybe they're in.
I think
Wake Forest could be a dangerous team if they get in. But, yeah, you can't lose that game at home.
The problem with them is like, I bet on them live last night when they were down by 16, I think. I got them at basically even money. But, dude, they started the game down 15-0. The problem with them is they have absolutely zero depth. And when you get into, games where anyone gets in foul trouble or like they have a kid name is Chase Hildreth. He's the little white kid with red hair. He's a shooter. He's been playing the whole year with like a dislocated like shoulder on his left shoulder. And then he cracked his wrist on his shooting hand a few weeks ago. And he's been playing through that. So it's just like, last night he tried to go up for a layup and it looked like he pulled a hamstring, and he's hobbled out there. They're keeping him in the game because they legitimately have nobody else to go to. I think when they beat Duke, I was like, oh, they're in for sure. This is a dangerous team. I really like this team. I have watched them the last 3 games. They have looked horrific. I don't think they deserve to be in unless they'd have to beat Clemson, and then they've got to go win at least a game, if not probably 2 or 3 games in the ACC tournament. They need a quality win in the ACC tournament to get back in the tournament. Last couple. What about? Let's see. We talked. Oh, what about FAU? A lot of people say they're probably in. You think they're in? They're not even in last 4 in. Most people have them in. I didn't put them as my locks because they just have a lot of losses. But I think they're going to get in. I'm pretty sure they will.
I know they had some big wins early in the year.
They beat A&M, which doesn't look as good now, but they beat A&M, who was 12 at the time in the country, on a neutral floor by 7. They beat Virginia Tech by 34. They beat Butler, lost to Illinois. Oh, beat Arizona. I forgot. That's a big win right there. Beat Loyola Chicago. Lost to Bryant. Lost to Florida Gulf Coast.
Yeah, they have some.
Lost to Charlotte. Lost to UAB. Lost to South Florida. Lost to Memphis. I mean, It's just a give and take there.
I think they're going to be in.
They play.
I think especially with what they did last year too. I know it's not supposed to matter. They do have a lot of the same team. I think they're going to put them in.
Do you think they win the night they're playing at North Texas? Pretty big game.
They need to win.
If they lose that, they'd be real bad.
They could probably. What is the line on that? Probably a
2.
Yeah, I was about to say it's probably like a pick 'em.
Yeah,
college basketball.
It's ping pong back and forth between 1 and 2.
Yeah, I would. Man, if they win tonight, I think that gets them in. If not, they'll probably have to win at least a couple in the.
They're playing Memphis the last game of the season, so that would be another good win. They would be
if they can split. If they lose tonight and then they beat Memphis, is it at home or are they?
It's at home,
them?
yeah.
And they beat Memphis at home, and then when I mean, I don't know. I really do think they are when they're playing their best, they could play with anybody. So I mean, I think they should get in. That's the thing. I mean, I know we have to look at resumes, but I mean, FAU legitimately, right, can make a run like they did last year. They're that kind of team. And then you have teams that are ranked around them, like, sure, Indiana State's ranked in front of them, and they're a fun story, right? New Mexico. But if you're actually picking a team that is like, could really go deep. Look, New Mexico, I don't think could make it to the Elite Eight. Right? I mean, if they get hot, maybe they can do it again. I don't know. I just think they're a talented team. I think they're likely to get in. So
I do think the one team I would say that I think could actually get to a Sweet 16 would be Indiana State. I think they actually could. I like them a lot. They're just so high powered offensively is my thing. Problem with that is, man, it's going to be interesting. I think they have both these teams on the bubble. I don't think either are going to get in. I think if they don't win the tournament, I think whoever wins the tournament gets in, which is a shame. But you have Indiana State and Drake. Both teams, I think, could win a game or two in the NCAA tournament. One of those teams is probably going to get left out. I think it's going to be Drake, but it kind of sucks that it all comes down to one tournament for a couple of teams that good. Okay. I got you on the sheets that I printed out for you. Go to there's a stack of 4 blind resumes. I'll put them up on the screen when we're actually doing this, and I'll kind of read through them as we're going. But make sure it says number 1 in that top corner.
Number 1, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna have blind resume, team 1 versus team 2. If you're following along with us, you can decide which team you think deserves to be in over the other. So team 1, overall record 23-5, 16-1 in conference, 85th in the KenPom, 79th in the net. They're 1-0 versus quad 1, but they have the 151st schedule in the country. Team 2 is 21-9, 12-7 in conference, 68 in the KenPom, 50 in the net ranking, and 2-6 versus quad 1. They have a much stronger strength of schedule. Based on those two, who do you think? Which of those two would you rather have in the tournament, or do you think deserves to be in the tournament?
It's a tough one.
One team obviously playing much better, but hasn't played as tough of a schedule. The quad.
Probably.
The quad 1 thing is an issue for me here. And I know who these teams are, so I'm a little bit biased. Yeah. But quad 1, if you've had 8 opportunities to play quad 1 teams and you're 2-6, that hurts. I don't know. It's not like they're way ahead in KenPom and net here. They've got a decent jump on them, but it's not like 50 spots. It's not like a huge.
The only problem I have with team 1 is they have 5 losses, and I know that those 5 losses came
early in the year.
Well, yeah, but none of them were against quad 1 teams either. They have
a lot of quad 4 quad 3 and 4 losses.
Yeah, and team 2, although they're 2-6. 6 of those 9 losses came against quad 1 team. I mean, it's a tough one, but I would put the blind deal. I'd probably go team 2 with the 30. I mean, they're 30 teams better in net rank too. I would put team 2.
Any guess who team 1 is?
Indiana State?
No.
They lose early? Who is
South Florida. Florida's team 1. Florida. Team 2, any guess?
It's got to be, I feel like it's got to be someone from the Big East.
It's actually someone from the ACC.
ACC?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hence why the net and KenPom are pretty bad for this team.
Yeah.
You're gonna be annoyed that you picked team 2 when I say who it is.
Virginia.
It is Virginia. Yeah, it's Virginia.
I get it.
That's why I did those two, because I thought it'd be interesting.
When you mentioned it earlier, you're like, they're probably gonna get in just because of, their strength of schedule and net ranking and stuff. But their net rank at 50, I mean,
that's my thing. To me, though, 50.
To me, though, I wouldn't. I mean, I get that we're comparing these two teams. I want to put either of these teams.
I hear you. I hear you for sure.
I want to, with them being 12-7 in a bad ACC, them being 2-6 against good teams, and they, like I said, their last record, the last 10 is 6-4. But when they've played good teams lately, they've gotten blown out of the fucking water. So it's just I wouldn't put either one of them in. But just looking at them there, I would put Virginia in over South Florida, I guess, if you're doing the blind resume.
Right. Okay, looking at number 2, we've got Team 1, 22-7, 12-4 in conference. They have a pretty good, right on the borderline, KenPom and net ranking in that 35-40 range. 1-2 versus Quad 1, strength of schedule 86, 7-3 in their last 10. Team 2 has a better record, 26-5, better conference record, 17-3. Their KenPom and net kind of split because the net ranking is better, but the KenPom is worse. Compared to Team 1, Quad 1, 1-3, strength of schedule much worse at 144, and their record in the last 10, it says 15, last 10 is 8-2. This is an interesting one.
Yeah,
Because rarely do you see a team where you have a higher KenPom but a lower net ranking. That's what's weird about this one. You have the net ranking for Team 2 is 29 compared to 35 for Team 1, but the KenPom for Team 1 is 40 versus 46 for Team 2.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I mean, they're pretty
even, right?
They're pretty dang even on this one. I guess I would go. I would probably go Team 2 here just for the simple fact that they have 2 less losses and 4 more wins because everything else is
pretty even.
Yeah. That's what I mean. I get that it's 86 strength schedule versus 144. But
I don't know how much that matters.
They're both bad strength schedules.
Exactly. Once you get outside the top 50.
I would go Team 2 in this one.
Team 1 is Florida Atlantic.
Yep.
Team 2 is Indiana State.
Yep.
So that's an interesting one because you would say Indiana State gets in over FAU, which I would agree with. Not looking at it blind, I would have said the same thing. I think Indiana, but I think what the committee will do is they will put. I think if FAU loses in their conference tournament, they will get in. I think Indiana State will not. I think they have to win. But I think Team 2 should be in over Team 1.
They have Indiana State right there at 30 in net rankings. I think if Indiana State say they make it to their conference championship game and lose to Drake, I think they're going to get in. They might be a last 4 in, but
Loyola's 8-10.
Drake. It's Drake, Bradley.
Drake and Bradley and all of them,
Yeah. So I would say that, they would. Now, if they bust out against a terrible team early, then no. But if they make it all the way to the conference championship and lose a close game, I have a lot of trouble thinking they're going to keep Indiana State out.
It's just that one.
They've been like kind of the talk. For mid-majors, the talk of college basketball, and their net ranking right now is 29.
They do love them. They have a hard on for the net ranking. That's true.
I think they're gonna get in, especially when you look at Nevada's 2 spots behind them. Colorado State's 4 spots behind them. I think Indiana State's in.
I hope so.
I would be shocked if they let them out.
I'm kind of going to be rooting for some of those big conferences to have not upset teams win it because I want to see teams like Indiana State in. And I think the more teams that win that aren't going to get in those big conference tournaments, the less chance Indiana State has of getting in, taking away those spots.
Yep.
Okay, 2 more real quick. Team 1 versus Team 2 in this third one. The exact same record, 18-11. Team 1 has a slightly worse conference record. They're almost exactly identical in KenPom. Team 1, a little bit worse net ranking.
Oh, this one's easy for me. Though,
it has to be Team 2.
It has to be Team 2 because they're 5-7 they show that they've won. They're 5-7,
right.
And I'm sure I'm not going to like who Team 2 is, but I'm picking Team 2.
Well, Team 1 is Minnesota, and Team 2 is Seton Hall.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I don't think Minnesota's very good.
I don't think Minnesota.
I think Seton Hall's not great, but I think they would beat Minnesota.
The Quad 1 is what keeps Seton Hall on the bubble, and right now, as of right now, probably in because. They have some bad losses, and they have not played well as of late. They are 5-5 in their last 10, but they have 5 Quad 1 wins because they play in the Big East.
I think they're going to be a last 4 team in.
Probably.
That would be my guess.
They are not fun to watch.
No.
They are a terrible shooting team.
They have St. Peter's old coach, right?
Yes, they do. Shaheen Holloway.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. Team 1 versus Team 2. We have Team 1 with a slightly better record overall, slightly better conference record. Team 1, significantly better KenPom ranking and net ranking. And strength of schedule, pretty identical. Quad 1, both teams have 5 Quad 1 wins, but Team 2 is 5-6 in the Quad 1 versus Team 1, 5-9. Both teams not playing well as of late.
Man, this is a tough one, too. Let's see. Ken Palm, Quad 1, 5-9. Schedule 11.
I think the record is hard to look past in Team 2.
Yeah.
16-13 is... You're going to get one more win on there, 17-13. You finish 17-13, I guess. I guess we've seen teams get in with that. They do have the 11th strength of schedule.
I mean, they're 5-6 against Quad 1, but that means they must have some bad losses, too.
Yes, they do. To be honest, I don't think either of the teams deserve to be in, but I think one is going to get in.
Is one of them a Big 12 team?
No. Team 1 is Big East. Team 2 is SEC. I think if you had more time, you could probably figure out who Team 2 is.
Providence?
No. Team 1 is, well, I'll let you pick. Who's in?
I'm gonna go. Golly. Yeah, I mean, I got to go with the Ken Palm rank being 29th compared to 54th and then 38th to 54. I know they have 9 Quad 1. Or I guess the way I look at it is obviously 2 more wins, one less loss, and 9 of those losses are against really good teams.
As opposed to worse teams,
yeah,
right?
So Team 1 for me.
Team 2 is A&M.
Yeah.
Team 1 is St. John's.
Yeah. I think I can say this safely. Them blowing, that game. Who did they lose to the other day? It was a bad one.
They lost to South. They blew the game against South Carolina.
Yeah,
they
needed to win that.
Lost to LSU and Arkansas, I think.
Yeah.
I think they lost both of those games.
They're done.
They play, like I said, huge game tonight. Here's their only path. They beat Mississippi State tonight. They absolutely have to win tonight.
If they win tonight and then win 3 tournament games and make it 20-14, and then your because your quad wins at that point, your Quad 1 wins would be probably 500 at that point. You would be like 7-7 or something like that. Then there's an outside chance, I guess, man. But 13 losses and some of them were bad.
The problem is these next 2, like at home against Mississippi State. Mississippi State's not in the top 30 in the net.
Yeah.
So that's not a Quad 1.
Yeah.
And then they're at Ole Miss. I don't think Ole Miss is top 70 in the net. They've really dropped off. So both those are Quad 2 games.
But if they do win those 2, that gets them to 9-9 in the SEC, which puts you, I mean, that has to put you
in the conversation, yes.
Yeah.
But then you
13 losses.
It's bad, but I will say, like you said, let's say they go and win 3 games in the SEC tournament. Those teams are going to play not in the first round, but if they win 3 games, they're going to get at least 1 Quad 1, if not 2 Quad 1 wins. They're going to play somebody like, you look at the top of it, look at all the teams that they could play that would be Quad 1 wins on a neutral floor would be Mississippi State, Florida, Kentucky, Alabama, Auburn, South Carolina, Tennessee. And you're going to play at least 1, probably 2 of those teams because you're a lower seed in that. So if you got to the semis, there's a chance.
They finished 20-14. They go, 4-1 to close it out and get 1 good Quad 1 win.
Got to win.
And that puts them at 500 against Quad 1s with the strength of a schedule being 11th in the country. Yeah. They might get in.
One at Ohio State.
Compared those 2, I'm still putting St. John's in.
No, I agree. 1 at Ohio State, 1 at S. Not that was good, but early in the year it was not a bad win.
Yeah.
At Ohio State, at SMU, 1 at home against, or 1 on a neutral floor against Iowa State was a big win for them. That win almost is why they're even alive right now. Yeah. I think. Okay.
Gotta love Rick Pitino pushing all the right buttons, telling his team they fucking suck,
and of course it works.
Now they're winning by 30.
Of course it does. I did already bet A&M tonight. I took them last night -1. It's already to 2.5 now. But of course, every time I get in front of a line move, I get fucking beat by 20. So
yeah, you're gonna lose.
I'm gonna lose tonight. I'm gonna have a bad night tonight. Okay, I guess lastly on college basketball, and then we'll talk about some other stuff. Quickly on our college basketball game,
and then obviously we'll do. The people know out there, but I do think once the bracket, I guess it's a couple weeks away, we'll probably just go region by region and make our picks, and then you can do the graphic of our bracket and keep it up. Yeah.
And we should probably do, if we can.
We will. Listen, folks, just so you guys know, as you can see, the mic is not here. Big Dog Bailey's doing, I don't know what he's doing back there. I don't know if that means Big Dog's gonna make an appearance or not, but he has been officially banned. I'm not gonna say by who, but he can't come on the podcast today. We're hoping this is a 2-week suspension and he can get.
Let's not say we. You're hoping he comes back. I want him permanently banned.
Dylan wants him.
It's not my decision, but
When he comes back, he'll give you one hell of a bracket. I can promise you that.
Maybe we'll let him give his bracket.
Yeah, no, he's got to at least get his bracket in. So
yeah, but if he says anything out of line, we might have to take him off the show. We're trying to get some sponsorships here. All right, we're getting close to 2,000 subscribers. We need to keep the chatter to a minimum here for Big Dog. Real quick before and I think also
guys in the comments, if you want Big Dog back, please write, we want Big Dog back in the comments.
Look,
he's going to get all kinds of bots in there.
I got multiple texts from people last week that said, man, y'all went off on Big Dog. And I said, well, were we wrong to? And I saw multiple people say, fuck no, he deserved it. You should let him have it. So, I think that's the feeling around.
Who are these people?
I cannot reveal my sources here.
Cowards. You text Big Dog independently.
No, we're not. Look, Big Dog is a character, and he's become the character, and it's not a good thing.
It's like a full blown Ric Flair situation. He doesn't know reality from fantasy.
Okay, real quick. I know you're not going to change UConn or Tennessee in the picks. What about
have them for life?
Your Jayhawks have looked bad, man. What about?
Oh no, I am trading the Jayhawks.
So you have Kansas, Kentucky, and Creighton. I have Purdue and Iowa State, which I'm holding on to, but then I have Illinois, Marquette, and Baylor. I am definitely going to drop some of those teams. So I'll let you.
You go first because I had the first pick. So.
Okay, so let me go. I'm definitely dropping Illinois after that. I'm sorry. No, I am going to drop Illinois. I'm going to drop Marquette too because Kolek is out. You have Creighton? Do you still have Creighton?
Yeah.
Fuck, I like Creighton. Damn, dude, I'm looking at this right now, and there's not... Okay, I know who I'm going to take here. I'm going to drop Marquette because I think without Kolek right now, I don't know when he's coming back. I just don't trust him. I'm going to pick up an interesting team. I'm going to pick up Florida. I really like how they're playing.
That was a good one.
Yeah, I already
have an SEC team because I have Kentucky.
Yeah. Oh, do I have a... No, I don't. I don't have an SEC team. Okay, so I can do that. So Marquette is going to Florida now. Like how they're playing. I'll hang on to Illinois, even though I don't love them right now, and I'll hold on to Baylor.
I'm going to get rid of Kansas because their starting five's great, but they have zero depth.
It's bad.
It's real bad. I'm going to pick up Gonzaga if that's allowed.
I like Gonzaga a lot. Kentucky and Creighton, you want to hold them?
I'm going to keep them.
And then right now, remember, you dropped Grand Canyon, you picked up Princeton, so you got Princeton and McNeese State.
Yeah, I'm sticking with my mid-major guys.
Okay, I'm going to stick with my Indiana State, James Madison. Now,
what has James Madison been doing lately?
So
they were good early on.
Yeah, this is why I like James Madison, because the way we're doing our thing is where we can pick the teams once we can change once the bracket comes out, which is fair because it makes no sense for us to pick mid-majors who don't get in the tournament. It's not fun that way. But here's the thing I like about James Madison. James Madison plays to their competition. So, they are the prototypical giant killer. They're the type of team who can win 2 rounds in the NCAA tournament or not make the NCAA tournament at all. They lost to App State both times, which is why that's their issue. They lost to App State both times.
Here's my question. Play. Yeah, that's bad. If they only would have lost to them with that resume too, man, they're 27-3. They're 1-1 quad 1.
They're on the bubble.
0-1 quad 2. They're 6-1 quad 3, and they're 20-0 against quad 4. I mean, I just don't.
No, they're on the bubble for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, even if they don't say they make it to the conference, say they lose in the conference in the Sun Belt Conference Championship, you think they have any shot at getting in? I just
know the committee.
They're going to be 31-4.
I just know the committee. And I know how they think, and I think James Madison won't even be in the last 4 out. That's literally what I think.
Could be. I mean, you can't lose. The thing is, if they only lose one of those games, Appalachian State, then I think they have a legitimate beef. If they only, if you only lose 3 games total, but 4 games and 2 of those being the App State, I mean, that does hurt.
I agree. It's just you win at Michigan State in the beginning of the year. Mm-hmm. I mean, the first game of the year, and you start the season. What was it 16-0? And okay, your other loss was at Southern Miss, who they're a dark horse to win that tournament. They have a guy who's really, really good who's been out a lot of the year. That team could win that tournament still, Southern Miss. But they just, to me, those aren't bad losses. At App State is not a bad loss. At Southern Miss is not a bad loss. You look at Indiana State has worse losses than James Madison. Indiana State lost at home to Southern Illinois as a losing record this season. So I just, to me, I agree. I would love to see JMU in, but I think they have to win their conference tournament.
Yeah.
And the only thing I think they will, the reason I think they will, and they can be real like flip-floppy, but it's real hard to beat a good team 3 times. I just feel like if App State and James Madison play each other in the championship, I think James Madison's going to beat them. I just do. I think they're the better overall team. I don't think they're going to beat them a third straight time on a neutral floor. Both the games were close. They lost by 6 and 4 to App State. Whoever comes out of that conference is going to be a dangerous team in the tournament. App State can score the ball at a very, very high level.
No doubt.
Okay, we'll move on to some other sports. I do want to mention, as we're moving to other things, that Bailey's Vanderbilt Commodores.
I was about to say, give him a shout out.
I should have done it at the beginning.
Baseball school,
Bailey's Vanderbilt Commodores. They went 5-0 this weekend. What an absolute, clinic of baseball that I know nothing about that they put on this weekend. A pleasant display of greatness.
Classic Vanderbilt. Roll through the regular season, fuck up in the super regional, never make it to Omaha.
There you go.
Those are just the facts, Bailey. I know college baseball. Now listen, they've been to Omaha plenty, but I will say they are kind of an underachieving bunch because they're always 3rd, 4th in the country, go through the SEC gauntlet and get bounced by like fucking. It's probably going to be Tennessee this year.
Have they ever have that?
They're going to lose to Tennessee.
Have they ever won a national title?
Yeah.
In baseball, they have.
Yeah.
They have.
Yeah. Vandy won it in 19.
They won the national title.
Yeah. It was.
So they won in 19 and 14. So here are the okay. Ready? Here's Vanderbilt's team national titles because I was making sure this was right because I thought maybe I just thought like how miserable Bailey is talking about his teams all the time that they just never win anything, but that's not actually true, folks. Not only did Vanderbilt win baseball in 2019 and 2014, they won a women's tennis title in 2015. There you go. They got more than Tennessee.
Synchronized swimming or something.
No. How dare you? They are the reigning. They are the reigning bowling national title.
Oh, that's fucking big
2023
right
reigning champs. They won in 2018. They're a dynasty in 2007. So that is actually 6 team sport national titles that they have won. 3 in bowling, 2 in baseball, 1 in women's tennis.
They should bring Pete Weber out and make him the head bowling coach at Vandy. That'd be electric.
Dude.
But Vandy has got a lot of runner-up peers, too. 2021 lost to Mississippi State, and then 15 lost to Virginia. So they actually – I didn't realize
they won national titles in
14 and 15, they played Virginia back-to-back series, and they switched off winning. That's pretty cool. They've been pretty – I mean, you could make an argument that in the last 10 years, they've been the most dominant baseball program in the country.
Dude, you can make the argument that they are the most dominant bowling team in the country in the last decade. I mean, 2 national runner-ups, 2011 and 2013, 3 national titles. And in the 21st century, I don't know a better bowling team. I really don't. Good golf team.
Always have a good golf team.
I could see that. I mean, that seems like a Vanderbilt type thing. Be good at bowling, golf, and tennis. That's about right.
White
people sports. Yeah, white people
sports. Is Sargent a pro or is he still at Vandy?
Who's Sargent?
Their golfer, the best golfer there, Logan Sargent. Oh,
is he the one who played in the U.S. Amateur?
Yeah, U.S. Amateur. I'm getting it mixed up here.
It's
not Logan Sargent. Logan Sargent's a Formula One driver. That's how my brain works. That's like Big Dog. Fucking thing's going crazy.
Is that what it is?
It's Gordon Sargent.
Gordo Sargent.
There you go. See, I would listen.
Close. Almost got it.
Close.
Almost
just got the first name wrong. That's like what I did to you the other day. We were like, guess who's having the best game for Kansas? And I was like, Lance McCullers.
Yeah,
you're
like who
the fuck is he? You mean Kevin McCullers? I'm like, oh yeah, Lance McCullers is a pitcher for the Astros. Let's get the first names mixed up. But yeah, Gordon Sargent, he hits the ball fucking like he's a little guy and he hits the ball 350
How does that work?
yards.
How do you have little like short guys who hit the ball like Cam Young?
It's just all about the torque.
It's all about
it's
the
like
torque.
If you see Rory in person, it's just incredible how far the little looks like a little fucking gymnast out there hitting the ball.
I'll never forget when he got that hole out on hole 18. Him and Morikawa both holed out from the bunker. You know what I'm talking about? I think it was the U.S. Open, and he celebrated in a way that I've never. They say this in the Full Swing or whatever it's called, the Netflix show.
Oh, by the way, new season just came out today.
Yeah, it came out today. his arms went in directions that I didn't know was possible for arms to go to. It was the most unathletic celebration for an athlete. It was like, he was like hands straight out, like, yeah, I mean, woo, yeah, I made it. It was the weirdest fucking looking thing.
Losing his mind.
Oh, man, that was fucking hilarious. And then
all right, that's enough about Vanderbilt. Let's fucking move on. All right.
Thanks. Okay, man, you're starting to sound like Big Dog. That is a Big Dog.
I gotta try to fill in and he'll be the first one to tell you it's impossible, but you got to try to do your part in here.
Let's keep it on the NCAA front for a second.
Let's get that stuff moving in there. He's probably texted Bailey 42 times since this podcast started.
Let's talk about NCAA football. We talked a little bit about it last week. Basically, a ton of stuff has been being announced. I don't know. This might have happened before we talked about it last week, but a lot of the commentators have basically come out and said, hey, I'm officially in the game. I know Reese Davis, Kirk Herbstreit, a few other guys, I think Lee Corso. Game day is associating with the game, which is cool. So they're going to have game day be a part of the game, which is awesome. And basically now, after all those guys said they were going to be in and they accepted it, I'm sure they've known this for a while. The game has been in the works. But now they sent out basically a form or whatever it is, electronic form or letter, that gives the players the option to opt in or opt out of the game. And so far, I believe I saw yesterday, 10,000 players have already opted in, which is pretty amazing. I thought there would be kind of an issue with some of those players opting in, but 10,000 players opted in. The one notable opt-out was Arch fucking Manning. What a shocker. I mean, this is so stupid. Why? As a Texas fan, it's so frustrating. Like, dude, who cares? Who cares? I know Bailey brought up a good point. Like, he didn't want to see the 77 overall and the backup quarterback behind his name. But, like, dude, you're a kid. This proves to me that he is just being run by his organization and his family. Not that I didn't know that, but it's just like, it really is like a well-oiled machine. It makes me fear a little bit for his safety of staying at Texas, because I don't know how happy they're going to be to have him sit another year there. But yeah, like you said,
I thought he already decided he's staying. He
is, but I'm saying, like, is he going to stay?
Oh yeah,
again after that. I mean,
oh yeah, because what's his name's gone. He'll be the starter at Texas for that next year for sure. And, the fucking Texas boosters will pay him whatever. They're not going to let him go anywhere.
I hope not.
Apparently, from all accounts, I agree with you that people are running his life behind the scenes. But, I think he's on the record saying he likes Austin a lot. It's not a bad place for, to be famous. So,
yeah,
he's, I'm sure he's enjoying life. Not to mention, comes from a rich family already. He's doing just fine. I think, and honestly, man, I really don't think he was ready to start. And I know everybody was freaking out. And I think he's got the potential to be very good. But if you saw the competition that he was playing in New Orleans, in that league, or whatever league it was like watching NEISD JV football teams fucking play. And he was, I'm talking, kids couldn't even get to him. He moves just about as well as Peyton Manning, and he was just running all over the place and
he's
throwing
a little
dimes.
bit more athletic.
I'm joking. Yeah, of course.
He's a little more athletic.
But I'm just saying, I don't think he was ready for I don't think he's ready for SEC football this year either. I think it's
he's probably not.
I think it's good that he's going to sit behind you and your dad's boy, Cam Ewers, the Texas Savior.
Quinn Ewers.
Might be better than Vince Young. Might be. That's what people are saying.
Who said that?
There's maybe Big Dog.
Big Dog, yeah.
No.
Quinn Ewers, by the way, not Cam Ewers. Your first names are terrible today.
I am bad. I'm bad first names. Get the last names.
Go with the last names. Oh, by the way, Turner might be bad with the first names of these players, but I'll tell you what. This man, if I give him a list, I can give him a list of of any of the top 100 tennis players, men or women. In fact, I did this with him the other day. I read down the list of 138 names off the top 138 in the world of the men's tennis players, and he told me exactly what country each one of them was from.
Shout out Big Dog. That's some big brain shit right there.
I mean,
Rain Man stuff.
138 out of 138 on the fucking dot. And then we did the women, too. He went 97.
And the one I missed in the men was Moldova instead. I said Macedonia, and it was Moldova.
It was Moldova. But
bastard. Radu Albert was the one I missed, that fucker.
He remembers which one he missed, and that he went 138 out of 138, but he can't remember that Quinn Ewers' first name is Quinn.
Whatever. It's not important.
But that is it's very important.
I don't give a shit what the guy's first name is, but I tell you he's from the United States.
Well, it wouldn't
give you his country. I don't know his first name. I can tell you where he's from. If he was fucking from Romania, I'd be able to tell you that.
Well, the funniest part about it, doing
backhand or forehand, but
the funniest part about it was doing the men, and he wouldn't just give me the country for like 90% of them. He'd be like, "Yep, she's a Russian, got a sister who, is in the fucking military and is Putin's master assistant," and would give me this like long fucking spiel about.
Okay, well, first of all, that's not true, but that's hilarious. Yes, it's borderline that.
Something along those lines, right? Like,
Dad's name is Dmitry.
No, that's exactly
his mother was a ballet dancer in the Russian ballet for 25 years. No,
I mean,
that's true, but funny.
Yes, and he'll be like some of them, he'll be like, this one's a tough one because she's actually French, but it's going to say right there, it's going to say Tunisia. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? She's the 117th ranked woman in the world. You know her nationality and what she has reclassified her nationality to. It really is Rain Man-esque. If we could only teach you,
folks, this is why I'm retired from gambling.
If we could only teach you to count cards now, we could be rich together. Maybe we should start.
I'm sure I could learn.
It's not that hard, actually. It's doing it in live action. That's the hard part.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should do.
Are we bringing Big Dog in or what?
I don't think so. Are we?
He's at the door, Bailey. Open it. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
He's not at the door.
I just want to give everybody a little scare there.
No, he's not at the door.
What else we got to talk about? Spurs got shit pumped by the Rockets last night. This guy made Wemby his bitch. I'm just going to call it what it is, San Antonio. It's fine. You're 45 and 16 on him or whatever it was. My buddy's like, yeah, but Wemby got 5 blocks. I'm like, yeah, he scored
7 blocks.
Whatever. I don't fucking care. The guy scored 45 points on him and shot 75% from the field. Listen, just tip your cap to the guy. It was a loss. Wemby will get him next time, but I don't need to hear all these excuses.
Do we know that Wemby guarded him the whole game?
I have no idea. I didn't watch the game, but they're both centers, so I figure he did. No clue. Zero idea.
Wemby did have a bad game.
Who else would be guarding?
Of course. Well,
I guess Zach Collins.
Zach Collins. No, he barely plays anymore. Yeah. Of course, Devin Vassell took 19 shots. Wemby took 10 last night. Brilliant. Again, good thing we're right back to that formula so we can lose the next 42 games. Spurs got shit on last night. They did win 2 games in a row before that, though. I do want to talk a little NFL as well. Broncos released Russell Wilson. The biggest dead cap hit in the history of American sports, $85 million. Now, I have a question for you here. Couple questions. Number one, I don't understand, what is their plan here? Number two, they have the option to spread this out over 2 years, which I saw on an article that it said they're going to take $34.5 million in 2024, $49.5 in 2025. Now, I understand wanting to spread it out. I also understand that the rule might be you have to spread it out. If I'm the Broncos, and tell me if you disagree, I would just take it all in the first year and just say, you know what? Let's just tank the first year. We'll lose for this year, and we'll get a better draft pick. I don't think they have a draft pick this year.
I think the issue with that is you can't. You have to do it because he's signed for 2 more years. You have to do it each year.
I thought they were allowed to take it for 1, no? Maybe not.
You could be right, but it would make way more sense if they just, like you said, if they could do that, why wouldn't you do that? Why would you put yourself at a huge... listen,
I just read that
they're obviously not going to win the division. Right. Chiefs are.
Right.
So then you have, maybe at the end of this year, Travis Kelce, who knows what's going to happen with him? He might be riding off in the sunset with Taylor Swift, not even playing. So the division opens up a little bit. I just think, and I could be completely wrong, but if you could take it all in 1 year, I think they would.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I just read that they have an option.
That's
I
crazy.
don't know. Let me rephrase that. I read that it said they have the option to spread it out over 2 years. That doesn't mean that that means that they for sure have the ability to make it in 1 year. Sure. I don't know. And
maybe they just can't even make it. Maybe they just can't even
afford
make it work right now.
I mean, $85 million is such a big hit. You might not be able to make it work with your current roster.
Yeah, that could be it. I'm not too sure. But, that reminds me of the other great scene in Moneyball where David Justice is hitting balls in the cage. He's like, you pay me $6.3 million a year, Billy, to play for you guys. So I guess I am different. He goes, oh, no. The Yankees pay half that. That's what they think of you, buddy. They pay you half your salary not to even play for them.
He's like, they're paying you $3 million a year to play against them.
Yeah.
That's such a good movie. Great movie. In all honesty, though, if I'm the Broncos, I understand. Clearly this is Sean Payton because I get Russell Wilson underperformed. He was horrible. He's not been good. But it's not like they were the worst team in the league last year. They actually had a pretty decent close to the season. We were actually talking about them for a possible playoff team in the last couple of weeks, so they kind of imploded. And
something had to happen.
It had to, but
because they were they went like over a 6-game period, like 5-6 to get right back into the hunt.
I think they won
right?
5 or 6 in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, they literally were right back in
Russell,
the hunt.
right? The whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was in there the whole time. And
it's something had to have happened, but it's...
Well, I think Sean Payton didn't like him from the start, and I think... But here's the problem, dude. Look, the guy can be bad, but...
Is he as bad as Jarrett Stidham?
Right.
Is that who they're going to start?
Well, and not only is
Did
he
I
as
nail
bad...
that first name? It's Jarrett or Jarrett?
Jarrett, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
close enough.
Better than you've been doing today, so...
Yeah.
But even if he is worse than Jarrett Stidham, if you're paying him anyway, this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, if you're paying him anyway, why would you get rid of him? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
Keep him in the front office, make him take the trash out, do something.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's an expensive janitor, but at least you're doing something. I mean, to me, and this is just me, I understand people are different, but if Turner was the fucking quarterback of the Broncos and it was like, hey, we can, Turner can't throw the ball anymore. He's got permanent nerve damage in his right arm, which is probably partially true. Even though he was called the Mark Brunell of high school football. If Turner was the quarterback of the Broncos, that's true statement.
Kind of true. Freshman year,
if I was
only because I was fat out there.
if Turner had non-repairable nerve damage in his right arm and could barely throw the football, and I had owe him $34.5 and $49.5 million, I would say, fuck you. You're staying here for 2 years, and you can be the signal caller on the sideline, whatever you want to do. You're not getting cut and getting that money. I mean, this is a deal for Russell Wilson. This dude's getting $80-90 million to go play for somebody else. I mean, and be out of that toxic situation.
So obviously they had to have tried to shop him. Obviously, no one's taking that contract.
Still,
obviously,
even if you have to keep him.
No, I agree with what you're saying. But if someone picks him up and pays him like $5 million a year, does that save the Broncos $5 million?
Yes, I believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that.
But if anybody picks him up, they're going to be like, hey, we'll pay you the league minimum if you want to fucking play.
Yeah.
And if you just want to sit at home, then sit at home.
I don't know how that works, to be honest.
I mean, he's going to win, what did he say, 2 or 3 Super Bowls in the next 5 years?
2 more Super Bowls, but he wanted to do it in Denver.
That's right. Want to do it in Denver.
Let's ride right out of town because that's where he's going. He's not coming back. That motherfucker shit on that organ. I mean, that was one of the worst trades in NFL history. It really was. And I have to say, I love it because even though Big Dog's not here, he is a big Russell Wilson guy. And I've been saying for years.
Allegedly.
No, not allegedly. He'll come on here and tell you that. I've been saying for years that one Super Bowl he went to and won, this is just the dead truth. They had maybe the best defense in NFL history. One of the top 3 defenses in NFL history. Won the Super Bowl because of it. Went back the next year and he lost them the game on the 1-yard line throwing an interception. I mean, he didn't win Super Bowl MVP because he didn't do anything in that game. He was a game manager at best. He was like the worst version of Brock Purdy. And won a Super Bowl. And since those 2 years, he's done nothing but go downhill. He has the record for most interceptions in a playoff game and 5 interceptions in an NFC Championship game, and they won. To me,
he threw 5 interceptions.
Yes,
in what?
Against the Packers at home,
and won.
And they won. They were down 16-0 and came back and won that game.
How the fuck is that even possible?
It was the craziest game. Matt LaFleur. Actually, no, Mike McCarthy might have still been there. I can't remember. It was a collapse.
Speaking of terrible coaching decisions, they had Dan Quinn came on the part of my take with Big Cat and them.
Dan Quinn did?
Yeah. And new PFT's a huge, Commanders fan. So he's on there and he's talking and Big Cat's like, all right, let me walk you through a situation like he used to do at LaFleur. He's like, you're down 8, and there's 2 minutes left in the game and it's 4th and 3. What do you do there? You kick a field goal or go for it? He's like, really, Big Cat, you had to go there? He's like, yeah, now I would have gone for it. He's like, thank you. So when Dan Quinn was the head coach at where was he?
Atlanta.
They were playing a game and he was like, yeah, it was a slugfest of a game, but I'm not kidding. They were down 4 points.
I kind of remember this.
This is a true story.
I remember this.
And I didn't believe Big Cat. And Dan Quinn's like, oh, you're right. He's like, yeah, I feel like it is. He's like, that's scar tissue. But he goes, Dan, let me ask you this. It's there's 2 minutes and 40 seconds left of the game. You're down 4. It's 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. What do you do? He kicked a fucking field goal. This is like, I don't know how many years ago. he goes, and Big Cat's just shaking his head. He goes, listen, I get it. I'm basically a fucking idiot. It'll never happen again. He goes, can we get on the record that if that ever happens again, you're down 4 with less than 5 minutes to go on the 1 yard, you will go for it. He's like, you have that on the record. I'll go for it. Big Cat said, he goes, yeah, I'll be honest with you. For years, when it was like anybody would kick a field, like anytime it was like, there was like 45 seconds left in the game and it was 4th and 1 from the 1. He would tweet Dan Quinn would kick a field goal here. He did it for like multiple years. Dan Quinn was like, you're such an asshole. He's like, I'm sorry, sorry. But he goes, we got to bury the hatchet. It was hysterical. He's like, yeah, he goes, let me tell you my thought process. And then he's like, well, keep in mind, obviously, we went for it 3 downs in a row trying to run up the middle. We didn't get in. And he goes, our defense was playing pretty well. And Matt Bryant's a hell of a kicker. So I thought, we'll kick it. We'll get a stop. We'll get it back. And we'll kick another field goal for the win. Big Cat's like, listen to yourself. Does that make a lot of sense to you? He's like, no, but at the time it did. And he's like, okay, all right. Well, I'm glad we can move past that. You're done doing that. God, it's so funny. These guys that make this money make decisions like that. 4th and goal from the 1 yard line with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left, down 4, and the guy kicked a field goal.
Well, he did get fired.
It's almost, honestly, that's way worse than LaFleur's is bad, but that's way worse than LaFleur's because LaFleur's was kicked with like 4 minutes left in the game. When they did, and the Packers did it.
I thought there was like 3 minutes.
Whatever. It was, they were going to have to run 2 plays and they had like 3 timeouts.
Yeah.
That one was literally like with 2 minutes and whatever seconds and he on the 1. The Packers went for that kid field goal on like what, the 8 yard line? And it was 4th and 5, something like that. It was still horrific. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
The problem was that one was
from the 1.
No, I agree. But the problem was that one was a playoff game versus a regular. I think Dan Quinn's was a regular season game because he didn't make the playoffs that often.
Yeah, no. And then they also asked him about the 28-3 game, obviously.
The 20. Oh God, dude. The
biggest collapse in league history.
They asked Matt Ryan on an interview not too long ago. They're like, "How often? Do you think about it?"
Yeah.
He's like, "Not anymore, but like it's probably like every week or something." It used to be every night.
Then he's like, "Well, how often are you reminded about it?" He's once, twice a day.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street.
Yeah,
28-3.
I mean, dude. That would be
insane.
You can never live that down. No. Never live that down.
As far as I don't know what else you got. I mean, we got baseball season coming up.
I want to talk a few more things. In the NFL first, real quick. Did not franchise tag Saquon Barkley, which means he's going to be a free agent. We've seen this happen with a number of running backs. The Cowboys didn't franchise tag Tony Pollard, Derrick Henry. I'm sorry, Bailey, but what the fuck were the Titans thinking? I mean, if you're going to not franchise tag him and let him go now anyway, why in the fucking world would you not have traded him? If you're going to keep him, then I get it. Like, if you're going to keep him this next year or two, I get it. But why would you not, unless they're going to sign him to it, unless I know they have a week to sign him, so unless they're going to sign him to like a cheaper deal and he just wants to stay a Titan and finish his career as a Titan, that makes sense. Other than that, not trading him at the trade deadline made 0 sense. But that was just, I don't know, that was
woman
ridiculous.
Ownership.
Yeah, that's what it is.
No wonder Vrabel didn't want to work with that GM making these decisions.
Where do you think some of these running backs end up? I know the Ravens are in the market for running back. Supposedly. Man,
if I was the Ravens, I wouldn't spend a dime on a running back. Because the thing about because they're getting Dobbins is always hurt. I get it, but the Mitchell guy before he got hurt was fine. Gus Edwards is a goal line back. It's been proven that we go out and spend money on running backs, it never works out. The Ravens that's not their. I just don't think that's a concern for them. I really don't. I don't know. I would put the money elsewhere. I wouldn't spend money on a running back. Yeah. Me personally.
I guess that's probably a fair point.
I mean, you can, but I mean, I just don't know how that makes your team that much better. If you got Saquon Barkley, I mean, don't get me wrong, but he's going to want what? $13 million a year?
Yeah, that's the problem. I agree. But I do think like, well, if you go back to the type of offense that they used to run where they're not throwing, they throw the ball way too much now with a guy who can't throw. But if you go back to that old, like, run the ball a ton and you have Saquon mixed with him, I mean, that could be pretty dangerous.
It could be real dangerous. It's just with their luck that they have at running backs just to pay a guy who's
well, he's injury prone too.
Exactly. I just don't think I spend the $13 million a year there. But I mean, it would make. I agree. And that's like the only name that I would even consider. Like, paying that.
Quickly through a few NBA topics. It was the worst loss, I believe, ever in Steph Curry's career. The Celtics beat the Warriors 140-88. It was 82-38 at halftime. Steph finished 2 of 13 from the field, 0 of 9 for 3 with 4 points. I mean, it was the worst game he's ever played. I know it's a regular season NBA game, but that was pretty embarrassing. Like, that just, like, I mean, talk about quitting.
That's what they do. These guys go down.
So sick.
You go down 25 points, whatever it is. They'll pull, if they're veterans, they'll get you out of the game. These regular season NBA is just an absolute snooze fest.
Yeah.
I could care less.
Bucks have won 6 straight since the All-Star break after a 3-7 start to Doc Rivers' tenure. So they're playing much better. Beat the Clippers the other night. Had a couple of nice wins. So
how the Clippers been doing lately?
They're average. They were so hot for a while. They haven't been doing bad, but I think they're third. That top 4 is all like 2 games apart. I think first place is 18 or 19 losses, and fourth has 21 losses.
So you got obviously the Celtics runaway in the East.
I think it's Thunder in first.
Bucks, Celtics. Sorry,
Bucks are in second.
Bucks, Cavs, and they're separated.
Magic
by a
is
game.
fourth, right?
And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams separated by a game.
Right.
So I mean, that's kind of wide open.
But in the West, I think it's OKC 1.
It's Minnesota 1, OKC 2, Denver 3. Then 3 games behind them are the Clippers. And then you have the Pelicans.
Which really is only 2 games because the loss column between Minnesota and OKC is 19, and the Clippers have 21. But you get half a game for a win or whatever. What is interesting...
I'm actually shocked that Portland's won 17 games. They're fucking terrible. I saw them play the Spurs earlier this year. Sorry. I'm looking at the Spurs at the bottom of the standings here. So I was like, Portland's won 7... If they played the Spurs in a 7-game series, I think we got them in the absolute toilet bowl of the league.
Well, I think the toilet bowl would be the Spurs and the Pistons, but that would be like the semifinals.
Actually, the toilet bowl would be the Wizards and Pistons. 9 wins apiece for those guys.
Spurs are way ahead of those.
Yeah,
4 games.
Dominating.
4
games ahead at the bottom. But we definitely want to finish, which we will. We definitely want to finish in the bottom 3 teams, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so we're good.
Because they all get 25%.
Yeah, because the
or 12.5. Sorry, 12.5%.
Yeah, because Portland's 4 games ahead of us, and then, shout out Sam Hazelwood. Who you got?
UConn and Marquette. My pick. I didn't win for him last night. I got to give him a winner tonight. Here's the interesting thing.
I was gonna open the deal and say, "Pick your own games, asshole." But I didn't. I can't. I'm too stupid to figure out.
I would have had to text back on here. That was Turner. Yeah. The Spurs, I wonder if they're going to get over that 17.5 win total. They need to win 5 more games. 5 more games. Don't you be going over there typing that. I know that's what you're doing.
I'm trying, but I don't know how to work this damn computer.
I'm telling me and Turner are on the podcast. He's texting you from my computer right now. You just texted Nick. You dumbass. It said, oh my God, you texted Nick, pick your own games, asshole. Oh my God. Ignore his text. Oh my God. God damn it. I mean, I've got to show these text messages going up. You fucking asshole. He texted Nick. Oh, God.
It's all right.
You fucking
Nick
idiot.
loves me. Nick's my boy.
Sam wants to call in. That's what he said.
Pick your own games, asshole. Oh my God, sorry. He's texting from my computer. Oh, sorry. I was trying to say that. Why did you block me? I put "love you, Nick" at the bottom of it. Let that go through.
Well, I didn't block you. What are you talking about?
Didn't go through.
I can't block myself. You're texting as me from my computer.
Why didn't that go through? I love Nick.
It went through on mine. It says delivered.
Okay. Whatever.
You're the fucking worst.
I don't know.
I got to figure out a way to turn off, lock messages on that computer, or you're gonna lose access to my computer here.
I'm gonna text your dad on this and be like,
no.
I'm gonna be like, hey, I just want to let you know I love you.
No,
you're a great dad.
Don't send shit. I'll say that was Turner. I don't believe that.
Love you,
stop.
Big dog.
Stop.
That's all I'm gonna put.
God damn it. You're
love you, big
fucking
dog. That's it.
Idiot.
That's it. Bailey's loving this. All right, that was a disaster. Sorry about that.
You
gotta have
he's
some.
turning into Big Dog.
You gotta have
something Big Dog would do.
You gotta have some kind of chaos in here.
God damn.
We only got a couple more minutes. I gotta hit the road. I actually gotta go work today for once. What else?
Hold on, I got a few more things before you leave us. Yeah, Big Dog. Let's get this show on the road.
Let's wrap this shit up. I told you boys I had to leave at 3. I hate rushing. I typically don't rush at all, but.
Okay, wait.
No, you're fine. Go ahead.
We have a few more things we got to talk about. Really just one more thing. We have the high school basketball playoffs starting tomorrow, and we have 6A final between Plano East and Mansfield Lake Ridge, and then we have Round Rock Stony Point versus Beaumont United. Those are the two semifinal games. We went to high school. I have some footage of it. I should upload it. I unfortunately couldn't get my camera to work, so I had to use my phone instead of like an actual nice camera. But in one night, it was the best 2 high school basketball games I've ever seen. Lake Travis and O'Connor came down to a buzzer beater. Don't respond. Do not respond to that. That game came down to a buzzer beater. O'Connor made a 3 basically at the buzzer to send it to overtime. Lake Travis shit on themselves, had the ball up 3 in both regulation and overtime, and shot both times to give O'Connor a chance, ended up losing in overtime. And then we had Stony Point and Brennan, which was maybe the best game I've ever seen between 2 of the higher level teams I've ever seen. I actually think there's at least 1 pro on that court. I think that Fleming's kid for Brennan, very good chance to be a pro, at least overseas, if not an NBA pro.
That kid?
Yeah.
He's going straight to the league, homie.
The point guard?
Oh, yeah.
He's really good.
I mean, he'll fit into the NBA grade. He shoots 28% from the free throw line, but can dunk.
Went 1 from 9 from the free throw line.
It was all mental. I'm sure he's an 80% free throw shooter, but he was losing his mind.
This leads me into I'm going to pick, I think the only loss Stony Point has to all year is to Plano East.
When is that game, tomorrow?
Friday.
Oh.
And, semis are Friday. If they both win, they'll play on Saturday.
Yeah.
But Plano East is playing Mansfield Lake Ridge, who got 3rd in their district and somehow got there. Stony Point has to play Beaumont United. Beaumont United is going to be a tough matchup for them because they've been to the state tournament 3 straight years. They went back to back, and then they winning the whole thing, and they lost in the championship last year to Lakeview, I think. I'm sorry, Lake Highlands. That's who they lost to. Anyway, that's going to be a really good game between Beaumont United. They actually didn't even win their district, Beaumont United. They got 2nd in their district and went 11-3, but they've just been there so many times, and they have studs on that team. That'll be a tough game for Stony Point. If Stony Point wins and Plano East wins, it'll be really fun to watch that game because Plano East will end up going into that game 39-0, and Stony Point will go into that game 38-1, and the only loss for Stony Point was a 5-point loss to Plano East. Plano East has not a single 4 or 5-star kid on their team. They're number 17 in the nation. They just have a lot of really solid players who play well together. But this leads me into my dumbass of the week, which I know we're almost done here. But my dumbass of the week has to be this guy, and it's the head coach of the Brennan Bears. Coach Cowgill is his last name. I don't know his first name, and he probably will never watch this show. And if he does, I'm glad because he cost his team 2 years in a row a chance at a state championship. This is just complete madness what he did. There was 3.6 seconds to go in the game, and they were up by 2 because his son went 1 of 2 from the free throw line, mind you. Stony Point was inbounding from the sideline. Both teams had timeouts left. Nobody calls a timeout, which, by the way, Stony Point's coach is an absolute sociopath. He was yelling.
I like that guy.
He was yelling. Of course you do, because he was yelling at the players on the floor to shut the fuck up. Literally, you could hear it. We were up in row 40, and I could hear him yell, "Shut the fuck up!" There's got to be a clip of it. I mean, the guy's a lunatic. And then when they win, the whole team is celebrating with the kids, and he's doing this to himself, "I'm the man. I did this." I'm like, oh my god, this guy is a clown.
I mean, listen, if he's not their coach, they have 4 or 5 losses this year.
That's absolutely not true.
Great coach.
They actually should have lost.
Leader of men.
Yeah, a real good leader there, yelling at his kids on the fucking game to shut the fuck up.
Hey, sometimes they need to shut the fuck up.
Well, anyway, that's not the idiot of the dumbass of the week. The dumbass of the week is the Brennan coach, because up by fucking 2, and the other team is inbounding from the sideline, and they are all matched up in man-to-man, right? Rightfully so. This motherfucker decides that he is going to leave somebody wide open.
Now, keep in mind, it's a bad decision. I agree. But
don't you dare even try to defend him.
No, I'm not. But I'm just putting in the context for everybody. The kid did shoot a three-pointer the possession before, and it was wide left. Like, missed everything, like, not even close.
Okay, but he also hadn't made a three in the game.
Yeah. No.
So
I mean, I'm not defending the decision. I'm just trying to give a little context.
But here's the thing. They're down. They're up by 2.
Yeah, make them shoot by 2.
And they're trying. It's clear what they're doing. They have a kid, Stony Point does, going to Villanova. He's really good. He had 33 points. They're posting him in the short corner. They're clearly going to throw it to him, and he's going to shoot a fadeaway contested jump shot at the buzzer. Worst case scenario.
At overtime.
It's going to overtime, and it's a really tough shot anyway. Instead of allowing that to happen, he takes a guy off of a player who has already made a 3 in the game and says, we're going to leave him. And literally all Stony Point did was the kid walked to the 3-point line, they threw it into him, and he shot a wide open 3, and he nailed it at the buzzer. I mean, it was stunning.
It is a big-time dumbass move. I agree with you for leaving him wide open. I will say that I feel good for the kid that made the shot, because if he didn't make that shot, they may have killed him on the bus ride back.
Because he caught the possession before they were down 1.
He fired a 3 and he shot it like you would have thought he was Steph Curry. He let the thing go, and his best player didn't even fucking sniff the ball, and he slung that bitch up there and missed it wide left like a field goal, nowhere close. And Dylan's uncle was in the bathroom and said there's guys in there going, well, what the fuck is 42? Now 42 wants to shoot the ball, or whatever number he was, or 24. Now he wants to shoot, motherfucker, and shot all year. And they thought they had lost the game, and then they leave him wide open, and he hits the game winner. He was as surprised as anybody in the gym he made it, but it was a good feeling for him. Plus, you said Brennan beat them last year, so whatever. They get to go this year. And Brennan next year has all those they're getting all the kids back. The best player's a senior. I would be shocked if they don't win the state championship next year.
Well, they'll at least get to the state tournament and finals. But no, I mean, it was just a brutal way to lose when you looked at it. Like Brennan played horrible. We were sitting there in the first half. I think it was 27-42 at halftime.
Yeah,
and we were sitting there together like, man, Brennan might not come back. Like, we both thought Brennan was the better team, but this might be over because it just didn't look good.
It looked over.
All of a sudden, like that, they turned it on, and they took a 4-point lead late in the fourth and just couldn't hold on to it. But this is the most excited I've been for a high school state tournament in a while. I think they're going to be good games. They tend to disappoint because it's just such a high level of emotion. They end up being blowouts a lot of the time. You get such
well, there's no way it'll top the games we saw for sure.
No, I mean, literally, the Lake Travis game was in it. I remember we were walking out because they cleared the gym, which, by the way, fuck Northside. Northside, all school districts suck, but Northside is the biggest piece of shit. They made us clear the gym after the first game. There was 2,000 people trying to get back in the gym in a fucking line, and we had to wait to go back in until the entire gym was cleared. And then they started the game before half the people were in the gym. We got in the gym with 3 minutes into the game. It was ridiculous. Then there was nobody directing traffic after the game for 3,000 cars trying to get out of a fucking parking lot and get on 1604. Absolute shit show. Northside should be fucking ashamed of themselves. Beyond that, I'm excited for the state tournament this weekend.
Fuck you, Northside.
Fuck
Northeast,
Northside.
Baby.
Northeast, let's go. Allen White's ISD, AHISD. Anyway, we'll see. Oh, they have Veterans Memorial San Antonio team also in the 5A. Yeah. They play Clean Ellison tomorrow night at 7, and then Lancaster, the number 1 team in the state, plays Amarillo, so the winners will play there. I actually think, I was looking at it last night, I think Vets actually has a shot.
Amarillo in, huh?
Amarillo gets there more often than you'd think. They were there not too long ago, maybe back in 2013 or 14. They get there every once in a while in that Region 3 or whatever. But we got a good week of sports. Next week we'll be back talking about conference championships, all of that. Yep. Next week we'll probably do in the middle of the week again. The week after that, I think we have to do Monday because Sunday Selection Sunday and everything. Yep. I might even do a live stream on Selection Sunday or something like that. But we'll be back. Make sure to like and subscribe to our channel. And thank you guys for tuning in this week. We're gonna get out of here because Turner's got to go do some work. And thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all our content, follow us on social media, and check out my website, www.dylanleakssports.com, for some free sports bet pick winners, although we've had a rough couple days. We're going to bounce back tonight, though. You got anything else? Big Dog, we'll see y'all soon. That's debatable. All right. Very, very, very debatable, but we'll discuss it. We'll see. All right. Sounds good. Thanks, guys, and have a good week.